Is your method of connecting with customers dated? That's the big question this morning. Well, join us to find out why spreadsheets and handshakes aren't enough to make it as a financial advisor in today's day and age. Join us and experience the future of client connection as we explore the intersection of technology and human interaction. And let's dive straight into today's episode. Really looking forward to a great show. Let's do it. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Nice to see all your beautiful faces this morning. If you're watching the recording, a warm welcome as well to you. Thank you very much for joining us. Even though you couldn't be here live, we really appreciate you taking a look at what it is that we do. Today, we're giving away the last copy of Purpose-Driven Financial Coaching by none other than Hendrik Crawford of Crawford's Coaching. So looking forward to sending this by the end of today's show. So right at the end, we'll do a lucky draw and we'll give this book away and I'll have it delivered straight to your door. So looking forward to today's episode. Today, I want to get into, client engagement, and it's about how do we retain clients. I've had many conversations over the last 2 weeks around this topic in various different sessions and Q&A sessions and things that I was a part of. So it was really, really something that came to the fore and sort of prompted me to talk a little bit about this today. And you can look forward to some good insights, I hope, as I always endeavor to add a lot of value in that regard. So looking forward to that. But as usual, I'm not alone. I am joined by Nikki McDonald this morning, sharing with us what the latest news is for our profession. And then also Norma is here, and she's going to talk about the benefits of decluttering your mind and space. And then I'm going to do some quick tech tips. And today I'm going to talk Calendly. So that's also one of the things we've been talking about a lot lately. And people are asking a lot of questions around Calendly. So I thought, let me do a quick 5 minutes on Calendly and show you just how amazing it is, because I believe that a lot of people are not using it in the best way. Then there's some quick announcements, and then we get into today's topic. So looking forward to that. And let me say a warm good morning. So for those of you that wanted to enter the lucky draw, #book, making it simple this morning. #book is what you can enter into the chat, whether it's with a comment or it's just #book on its own, you will be entered into the lucky draw, and we'll do that draw right at the end. But let me say a warm good morning. First in the house, we had Mr. Terence Tobin. And how's it, Terence? Hope it's going well and that the studies are going well. So he's doing his postgrad in financial planning. So well done to you. Heloise, good morning. It was awesome chatting to you in the week. Good morning, Johan. He's also saying hi to Mr. Tobin. Morning, everyone else. So nice. Thank you, Johan. Welcome. Garinel, good morning. Johan Basson, goeiemorgen. Good morning. Welcome. Regular now. Janita Moelman, goeiedag. It was good to talk to you as well in the week. So that was awesome. Adrian Jordan, welkom terug. Hoop het gaan goed met jou. Neil Phillips, good morning. Always going well with Neil down in Cape Town and raining again. This morning is a little bit colder here in Krugersdorp, Johannesburg. Charmaine, good morning. Goeiemorgen. Nice of you to see. Stephen Fish, good morning. He was the recipient of the last book. It was sent yesterday, Stephen, by the way. So you can expect it, I don't know, maybe today or at the very latest then on Monday, unless they want to deliver on a Saturday. Kavendra, good morning. Nice to see you. Nkosana, good morning. Nice to see you. Francis, goeiemorgen. Dankie vir my nice boodskap die ander dag. And then we get into people saying #book. Fantastic. Lihana is here. Good morning, Lihana and Rihanna. Lihana and Rihanna. Good morning. Welcome. All right, ladies and gents, let's get this party started and let's head on over straight to Nikki for the latest.
Good morning, everybody listening, and good morning, Francois. So let's get straight into the news this morning. On Wednesday, the FSCA issued a statement in which it welcomes the decision of the Appeal Board of the Financial Intelligence Center Act to uphold the penalty imposed on Yanni Parsons' future financials for failing to comply with certain provisions of the FIC Act. The object of this act, as we all know, is, amongst other things, to help combat money laundering and the financing of terrorism and other related activities. Now, if you are an accountable institution that is designated under the FIC Act, you are obliged to comply fully with its requirements. This specific FSP, Yanni Parsons' future financials, did not comply with these requirements, and they were issued a financial penalty by the FSCA of 870,000 Rand for failing to comply with the following provisions. Some of them include failing to verify the identity of sampled clients, failed to screen clients against the targeted financial sanctions list. They did not develop, document, maintain, and implement a risk management and compliance program, or otherwise known as a RMCP, for anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing. They failed to identify, assess, monitor, mitigate, and manage the risks that the provision of its products and services may involve or facilitate money laundering, terrorist financing, and related activities. Now, what happened was that the fine was issued by the FSCA. This FSP then went and appealed this, but the appeal board actually upheld the fine and said it has to be paid. Now, I think what is extremely important is that this appeal board's decision is a reminder to all accountable institutions that the development of an RMCP is the cornerstone of compliance with the FIC Act and is an important step towards effectively combating money laundering, terrorist financing, and related activities. It is very important that these things are in place, and as we now see, you will get fined if it's not. Then, in a study that was done by the CFP board in the last while, the CFP board, just to give you some information, is the professional body for personal financial planners in the US. More than half of investors are actually comfortable acting on financial advice they receive from generative AI systems, as long as those recommendations are vetted by a financial advisor. This survey was done in June, and it found that investors from the baby boomer and Gen X generations were more open to advice from AI systems like ChatGPT and Google Bard than younger investors, which is a bit weird because you would think it would be the other way around. Some 62% of older investors said they were very satisfied receiving financial planning advice from AI, while only 38% of investors under 45 agreed. However, these numbers drop off when they think about acting on that advice. Just 8% of younger investors said they were very comfortable implementing financial advice exclusively from AI, and about 15% of older investors agreed, signaling again that they are perhaps more open to integrating AI into their financial decisions, but it has to be confirmed by a financial planner. And then in my last comment today, some strides are being made in New Zealand when it comes to financial literacy, and this is something that the South African government can maybe keep in mind. As part of its political agenda for the upcoming 2023 elections, the Labour Party in New Zealand plans to make financial literacy education compulsory from the beginning of 2025 to address the low level of money and budgeting skills among recent graduates and young adult Kiwis. So this is also something that we're trying to impress on our government and on our education department, that financial literacy has to be included in the curriculums. And hopefully a move in New Zealand will give us a little bit of a boost to also take it up with our departments again. Then my last comment, we are very excited that FBI is a host at the Leader X conference on the 14th of September this year at the Sandton Convention Center, where we will be chatting, and some of our members will be chatting about uniquely South African problems consumers face in financial planning. This is a whole day free consumer focused event and is open to everybody. If you want to register and see the lineup. It is a wonderful event with loads of people speaking at the same time on the day. So you can come through, choose your what you want to visit, and come and listen to what our members have to say. So you can register today for your free ticket at www.leaderx.com and use the invitation code FPI in capital letters and then guest in small letters to get your free ticket. Francois will also be on stage that day, so we are looking forward to hosting everybody at LeaderX on the 14th of September. Thank you very much, Francois, and have a wonderful weekend.
That is absolutely true. Thank you very much, Nikki. I look forward to LeaderX, and that's on the 14th. LeaderX actually runs from the 12th to the 14th, and the 14th is the day that all our stuff is happening. So really looking forward to that. And next up, we have Norma. Today, Norma is talking about the benefits of decluttering my mind, and my space, because, like, we've got to do both. It's the environment and what's going up on here. So looking forward to the session. Norma, over to you.
Good morning. With the 1st of September coming up soon, I thought was a good idea to talk about how to organize our minds and declutter and look at our space. But not only our space, not only our relationships and how our business is going and our finances and our emotional and maybe mental well-being, but everything, and our mind included. So my title for today is Organizing Our Mind and Our Space. Now, let's look at how we can organize it. Let's look at exactly what it is, then why it's important that we actually go through that effort to go and do it. And then I'll give you a couple of steps to make it easy to go and declutter or to organize. So now, when I talk about organize, what the dictionary says, it is words like order, to structure, or to systematize, or to arrange. And that's exactly what we want to do. Now, decluttering also is a big aspect in this organizing process, because decluttering is really removing all of those unnecessary items of something, that thing that we're busy with, to make sure that we have a better outcome, to make sure that we experience it. It's more pleasant and it's more useful. So I think a lot of people declutter or organize their minds and their spaces in a way that overwhelms them or give them more anxiety or stress. But I think that's not the point. The point is to enhance our current experience. Now, why is it necessary that we do this? I think it's necessary just as we go into our closets and we take all of the clothing out and put it on the bed, then we have a proper view of what is in it. The same we have to do with our minds. That if everything is up in there, it's cluttered and it's like a ball of yarn, we can't see it for what it is, and we can't make proper decisions based on that. So if we declutter, if we organize our minds, it is important, because then we can actually sort of take stock. We can see what is in there and what we're working with, and then moving forward. So now, how do we actually do it? So I have a couple of steps that I think could help you. Now, step one is that we take inventory of our minds at the moment. And if we look at our mind specifically, we do it in 3 areas. We look at it through our thinking, through our emotions, or what drives us, or our attitudes, or the energy that we have. And then lastly, we look at it through our actions, or the choices that we make. So when we look at it through our thinking, we actually need to go and sit down and think what we're thinking about. So we can either look at it in life in general, or we can put certain areas down on paper, and then ask myself, so what am I thinking about this area? What am I thinking about this relationship? What am I thinking about finances or business? And then write all of it down. And the aim also is not to just write the pretty ones down. The aim is to write all of it down. So even the ones that we perceive as negative, that also needs to go on there. Now, the first one was thinking. The second one is through our emotions, or what drives us, or our attitudes, or our states. Now, this again, think about the overall emotions or the drivers in our lives at the moment. So, and again, it needs to be the negative ones and the positive ones, the ones we like feeling and the ones we don't like feeling. And then lastly, through our actions, through our choices and our behaviors. So write everything that we do, write them down, but also the ones that we don't do, write them down as well. So now once we've done that, the second step is to think about all of your dreams and goals and desires. Think about where your business want to be, where you want to be in relationships, where you want to be in emotional and maybe mental health. So see what is the result. Where do I want to be in 6 months' time, in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time? And then lastly, step 3 is now that I have these two lists side by side, now I'm in a position to actually make choices. So now I can go and see, this is where I want to be. What needs to happen now? So now I can see, okay, I want to let this go. This I want to keep, and this I want to, maybe introduce something new. Maybe I want to add something. So this is a great exercise for us to gain awareness, to see what is currently in our minds, in our closets, in any space that we're looking at, so that we can introduce new things, so that we can see what is working and what is not working. A lot of times we go through life thinking we have so many have-tos. But if we do this on a regular basis, we can see that decisions I've made 6 months ago or decisions I made 6 years ago, I can recommit to it. I can decide today, is this what I want in my life? And do I want this moving forward? Or is this something that is actually not serving me at all? This is something I want to get rid of. So I hope this was helpful. And thanks for being here. I'll be back next week.
Thank you very much, Norma. Very insightful. Really enjoyed that. And next up, some quick tech tips. And today I talk Calendly. All right. So why am I talking Calendly this morning? Well, very simply because a lot of people are using it or trying it, or I've heard comments that this doesn't work for me because people book a meeting with me at 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and I don't want that. And I thought, let me show you what Calendly is really capable of and what it is it meant to be doing, and when is it best to use something like Calendly, for your benefit. Now, this is obviously one of those things where you can automate the scheduling of your meetings, which is a great help. But specifically, in my opinion, for virtual meetings, unless you are somebody who works from the office and 95% of your appointments happens at the office, then you can also use Calendly because you don't need to drive anywhere. As soon as you need to drive to places, it's very hard to really manage when you can go and how far. The system won't know how far you're going to drive, how much time you need, or any of that. So for virtual meetings, this is absolutely brilliant. And you can manage every single aspect of your diary, which I have only got 5 minutes. Well, now less with all my talking, but I want to share just a couple of things with you very quickly. So what you can see on screen is the landing page. Now, there are 4 types of meetings that you can book with me at the moment, and each one of them have got a bit of a description. Now, obviously, people just go and click things and they don't read. We all know that. So there's also something called routing forms that can really ask a couple of questions and make sure that the person gets to the right meeting with the right person. So we can use things like that, which I'll show you in a second. But it's very simple. Just how Calendly works is you can set up different meetings of different durations at different times of the week, different times of the day, etc. So it works really, really well. So if you wanted to book like a 30-minute session with me, you would simply click on that if that is the appropriate meeting. You would then get the diary. You would see that I'm not available in August. And then in September, very easily, it can show you on these days. When you click on it, it'll give you the times that you can book. And also, I only allow a certain number of these types of meetings on a day so that I don't get overwhelmed on the one hand, and on the other hand, also that I actually get to the work I should be doing and not just meeting with people all day long. So, but this is sort of how simple it is. You would choose a time, you would say next, fill in the details, and here I'm giving people the choice between Zoom and Microsoft Teams. So you can even do that. I can ask for more information about what is this. I can ask for all sorts of things, or as little or as much as I want to ask the person when they are booking. They would click on schedule event, and they would email. It would directly go into my diary. It would then send them a meeting request, which they can then accept with the links and all the stuff in there. So it's beautiful. They don't need to do anything. I already said when I'm available. And often, if people says, well, I would like to meet with you, and you just say, oh, here's my link. It does upset people sometimes. So there is a way to do that. So I usually just say to people, you know what, if it makes it easier for you, here's my booking link. Otherwise, let me know what times you're available. So I do give them the option, and 99.9% of the time they just use the link. So that's pretty awesome. Right, so this is what it looks like a little bit in the back end. So you've got Calendly, you've got event types. I can see what events have been scheduled. I can design workflow. So what happens when somebody has booked? So those are certain emails that I want to go out to remind people, or maybe it asks for more information or any kind of thing. There's a few steps that I can set up that's automated, and even that can send a thank you email afterwards if the person showed up for the meeting, and all sorts of things like that. So I can build workflows in here that's automated. It triggers, it works. I can say for which of these events it should work, etc. And here's the routing that I spoke about, where you can have a form where people answer a couple of questions to get to the right type of meeting that you want to allow them for. So it just ensures that people don't book a meeting type that they shouldn't be booking. You can see I've got loads of meeting types here. We run everything from the show. Everything runs through this. So let's just go into this 30-minute conversation and a virtual meeting just to quickly show you. So it asks the details. You can set up, what other location options are there. So we can say we can even set up it's a phone call or an in-person meeting if you wanted to. You can set up Google Meet, WebEx, GoToMeeting, or anything like it. Even have a custom one. So there are many different ways that we can, or many different options that we can give a client. It doesn't just have to be Zoom or Teams or Meet. We can give them all three, and the client actually chooses, which is great. You have your description and all of that good stuff, right? So I'm not going to go into detail. This is not a training session. I just want to quickly show you how easy it is. Now it's when can people book me? Well, they can only book for 60 calendar days in advance. So they won't see more than 60 calendar days into the future in my calendar, but you can change this. It can be unlimited, or you can have it 30 days or a week or whatever you want it to be. And then how long is the meeting for? And then I've got these schedules, and I'm going to show you, and this is where you manage when people can and can't book you. So here you can see I only do Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays between 9 and 1. So that's the one thing. I do want 15 minutes space before the meeting and 5 minutes after the meeting. So it will, if a meeting is scheduled, some of those times will disappear as being available for a meeting, so that you don't have back-to-back meetings. I can also set up additional rules for this. And I can say is it every 15 minutes in my calendar, every half an hour in my calendar? How do I want to give the options? But then importantly, how many of these event types are allowed per day? So in this specific instance, only one per day. So if somebody's booked for that day, whatever time they chose, nobody else can book for that day for that type of meeting. So you can really manage that to the T. And then there's all sorts of other things that we can do from that perspective. The other thing I just quickly want to show you here is the working hours. So this is where not working the available hours. So I've got different schedules. So I've got working hours that says when am I available, and I can do it on a permanent basis, and I can override specific dates. So if I know I'm not going to be available, or I don't want to be available for a specific week, for example, maybe I'm going on holiday, I can make it unavailable very easily. And all the meeting types that are linked to this schedule will immediately be unavailable. So it's really an easy way to do that. It's a fantastic tool. So I've got different ones for PROpulsion Live. There's different schedules for the tax-based demos and for PROpulsion members, check-ins and things like that. So all of that is there. The other beauty, you can also connect multiple calendars. So in my case, I've only got my Office or my Microsoft calendar connected, but you can have multiple ones connected. I think up to 6, if I'm not mistaken. So it can check up to 6 different diaries for your availability before booking something. Yeah, it's 1 out of 6. So that is pretty impressive. So just one thing I quickly want to show you, if I was to, the types of meeting and schedules and things that I can create before I'm done with this. So come on. So if I go to new event type, I can do one-on-one meetings. So it's just me and one other person. I can allow them to ask to invite guests, but I'm actually just inviting one person, and that person is inviting more people to the meeting. So that's one-on-one. Groups is a great one. We use this for our dry runs, for our events. So I can create a group and I can say, well, for this meeting, up to 5 or 6 or 10 people can book for this meeting, and these are the time slots that are available. So if you want to do a bit of a group discussion, but you want to give people different, maybe you're going to do 3 sessions in the week, there's 3 different options and time slots, you can use this option, the group option, to say, well, I can host up to 10 people, I want to host up to 10 people, and these are the 3 slots, and it shows when people book how many spaces are still left. So that means that more than one person can book the same time slot, because you allow that via group. So that is pretty impressive and amazing. And then also there's something called one-off meetings. So this is where it's not something that's going to fit into your schedule, but you want to make some time available, maybe for a special meeting, or somebody asks you, please, they need to meet with you. You create this one-off meeting. It creates a link that only works once, and you can give them multiple options where they can book. You can even tell Calendly that it should block that time out until this person confirms. It's brilliant. So you can also use that. There's many other options here, as you can see, but I think the main message I want to get home today is that it's great for virtual meetings. It's absolutely amazing for doing group bookings. It's amazing for managing your calendar exactly how you want to do it, but you got to go to spend the time to go and set it up. So I hope that you're going to take time to go learn Calendly. It's not expensive. I think I pay just over $10 a month, which is not that bad considering all the other things I'm paying for. And the value that I get from this is absolutely amazing. So do go check out Calendly, and we will hopefully, if you need any help, shout, or you have other experiences. There's other tools like Bookings, Microsoft Bookings, for example, and Google has got an option now as well. But do check out these virtual or these automated meeting bookings scheduling kind of tools, because they really, really help with efficiency, and it eliminates this back and forth, and also reminding people of upcoming meetings. So it's really, really great in that regard. Brilliant stuff. Right. Sure. I don't know. I feel tired this morning. I think the summit sucked my energy. It was quite a busy day on Tuesday, but let's do some quick announcements. I've got a few things to share with you very quickly before we get into today's episode. Alrighty, a lot of people might be very happy that I'm not going to be marketing the summit today, because the summit is done and dusted. But I do want to say, if you want to win Hendrik's book, this is the last copy I've got, and it is signed by Mr. Crawford himself there on the inside. So if you want to win this book, hashtag book. You'll see some people have commented that already. So if you haven't, you can do that. At the moment, we have 14 people in the draw. So there's 38 people online at the moment. So if you want to win this book, hashtag book, you need to comment that in the chat, and you'll be in the draw to win this book at the end. So don't miss out. Just do it. It doesn't cost you anything. All right. So what's happening? Well, first off is that I'm going to be doing a masterclass. When is it? Now I can't remember the date. The date escapes me. But it's early in September. I think the 7th of September, if I haven't got it wrong. The 2-part system. So doing a masterclass on that. It's exclusive for Propulsion members. So if you're not a member, you've got to be a member to attend this session, but we're running a 2-part system masterclass. I've presented several sessions on this by now, and really learned a lot from people who are very close to this and where things are going and where things are at the moment, and really have an understanding of what it's meant to do and how we need to view it. And if there's one thing I want people to stop doing, is please stop talking about a multi-part system or a 3-part system, because it's not. It is a 2-part system, and I clarify that in this masterclass and exactly why that is the case. And we're just confusing people. So just stick to what it is. But anyway, so we'll get into the details in that system. It will give you CPD points as well. So for the members, go and book. You can already book. It's on the platform. Then the WhatsApp Marketing Masterclass is finally available. We did send the links and the registration details out to everybody on the wait list. And this session is taking place on the 5th of September. The cost is 1,500 Rand. There's only 50 seats. Well, now a lot less because people have been booking frantically for the session, and really happy with that. There are still some seats left. So today is the last day that we keep it exclusively for the waiting list. And then on Monday, we'll be sending it out to the rest of our email list and contacts to book for the session if all the seats have not been taken by Monday. So we've been running quite a few of these. We do these sessions for corporates and for bigger groups as well. So if you are interested in that, do give Razan or myself a shout. The value and the feedback has been absolutely incredible. You get a resource pack and all of it after the session. So do get in touch with us. It is, as Razan said last week, I think it was last week, she said it's the silver bullet, or maybe the week before. I can't even remember. Time flies so quickly at the moment. But anyway, it is a fantastic marketing. And I came across an article that somebody actually wrote in April that also was saying like WhatsApp marketing is the thing for financial advisors, which I didn't even see before. So yesterday that came across my screen, and so it's definitely something that's extremely valuable. Then lastly, we're also launching the getting the most out of Microsoft 365 for Propulsion members. So again, if you're not a member, you definitely want to check out becoming a member. The link is down below to learn more about Propulsion. It's 350 Rand a month. It's absolutely crazy to think I only charge 350. But you get access to all our programs, all our events, everything we do is included in the membership. So yeah, we've doubled our membership so far this year, which is, geez, mind-blowing. But anyway, so if you're not a member yet and you don't know what Propulsion is about, click the link below and you'll find out more and see why this is such an incredible group of people to associate yourself with and join us to do that. Then if you're getting value from these shows that we're doing, we've been now on episode, what is it now? I don't even know, 200 and whatever. It's about 228 or somewhere around about there. Today is episode 27 of season 4. If you value what we do and you get value from what we do and you like and you want to support what we do, please like this video, let others know, and also click that subscribe button if you haven't yet. About half the people watching is not subscribed. So if you can subscribe, that'll be absolutely amazing, because it does help us get bigger and bigger guests on the show as well. So it would be really amazing if you could do that and help us out in that way. All right. And just like that, let's get into today's topic, which is all about client loyalty and retaining clients for life. So excited to share my thoughts with you on this one. Here we go. Now, the premise for this is for me is absolutely around engagement and client engagement. It's about that connection with the client, the relationship we have with the client, and a whole host of other things. And then we've got technology in between, and we've got people who prefer the traditional way of doing things, and people who want to do it in the digital way or the new way of doing things. And it's all of these certain things, and the client is sitting at the middle of this. And over the last, this year particularly, we've done so many programs in Propulsion around client meeting skills and financial planning tools and techniques, and just a lot around client engagement and creating a great client experience, but unlocking value for clients. And that's really what it is about. That is where the game is at. It is about the conversations we have with clients. It's about how much the client is having conversations with us. It's about how well we listen. It's about all these things. So today's episode is really trying to bring all of this together and say, well, if we start thinking about client engagement, we start thinking about technology, we start thinking about the different ways, what are different strategies and things that we can follow in order to foster client loyalty, because somebody is loyal when they feel deeply connected to you. And I think I mentioned either in a session the other day or somewhere on a show, somebody in our community said he had an experience where he lost a client. And he said something very profound that really hit home for me. And he said, never, ever overvalue or even overestimate your relationship with a client. Never, ever think it's as good as you think it is. Because just because somebody has been a client for a long time, and maybe just because they've been a top client of yours, maybe they were one of your biggest clients, doesn't make them loyal. It doesn't mean that the relationship is as strong as you think it is. You don't know that client as well as you think you do. So much happens in a 3-month period that there's a lot that you will never know about a client. Doesn't matter how long you've had a relationship. So that's the important part. And that's sort of why I want to do today's session, is to say, well, if we start looking at this, what are the things we can do in order to at least maximize our chances of having a great client relationship for the long term, a client that's loyal, a client that refers people to us, and that becomes advocates for us in that sense. Right, so then from that point, so let's just do this. Right, so the first point I want to talk about is the importance of engagement. Like, why is it important? What is engagement? What is the impact on business? And what is the emotional impact, I guess, are some of the things that I just briefly want to touch on with this. So if I think about what engagement is, and I've spoken about this quite a lot, because you ask this question, what is engagement, or you ask it to system providers, like how do you encourage client engagement? And they come up with the weirdest and most wonderful answers that has, in my mind, nothing to do with client engagement. For me, when you think about client engagement, what it really is about, if I'm truly engaging with somebody, if I'm truly engaging with you, or you are truly engaging with me, it means that we're building a meaningful and a long-term relationship. And sometimes, it's not long-term, because somewhere down the line, maybe we realize maybe we don't really are such a good fit than what we think. But that's really what it is about. I've got another way of saying that. For me, and I've actually adapted this a little bit, because I've said this a lot of times. I've said that if you want to know whether a client is truly engaged in this relationship, you will see that from how they behave in meetings. It is when there is a meeting of minds. But I've expanded this a little bit now, and I'm thinking, like, it's not just minds. It's also a meeting of hearts, because that's where the connection comes in. So we really need to align on our values. We really need to sort of talk the same language in many instances, or at the very least, there needs to be a deep understanding of each other and a deep respect for that. So that is definitely necessary. So if there's true engagement, there's meeting of minds, meaning that we debate about things, we discuss things, we have a conversation, and there's back and forth. It is a dialogue between you and the client, and between the client and yourself. That's when there's real engagement. There's no engagement when the client is sitting there looking at us like they are a rabbit in a spotlight, knowing that there's trouble on its way. So that's not what it is about. But also, it's got to be a meeting of the hearts. There's got to be that connection. So that's important. Now, that doesn't mean we need to bear our secrets to the fullest degree with everybody. That's not what I'm talking about. But it is important that there's a meeting of minds and hearts, right? So the big thing here is, if just sort of be cognizant in your meetings, whether you do it virtually or whether you do them in person, doesn't matter. But just take note of how much the client is actually sharing and talking. And not just that, look at how excited they are. What are their energy levels when they're talking to you? Are they excited to be sharing with you? And sometimes it depends on the situation, right? Because maybe something bad just happened and they're obviously not in the mood to be energetic. So just be cognizant of the circumstances. But in general, when we talk to clients, like, are they open? Are they, like, when you ask a question, are they willing to share, or are they holding back? Because if they're holding back, there's not a connection of the heart yet. There's not the trust and the credibility that we are looking for yet. So then you've got to work a little bit more on that. But anyway, that for me is sort of what engagement is, and why I feel like that's how you would measure whether there is true engagement or not. Now, the impact of true engagement is obviously that it leads to higher client retention. If we get along, we work together, we engage, then why would I go anywhere else? So client retention is very important. And if I have this experience and I'm very happy and I'm so satisfied, I'm going to go tell others about it. So there will be referrals, and some of those people will really become advocates, where they actively go look for people to refer to you. And obviously when that happens, when you retain your clients and they refer clients to you, then obviously you're going to increase your revenue, provided that you put in the work that is required. Now, a way that I can measure this is just using something like NPS, the Net Promoter Score. It's a simple question you ask clients. It's one question, and that is, how likely are you to refer friends or family or colleagues to us? That's it, on a scale of 1 to 10. And depending on that, it'll give you a score. And the lower the score, the worse that is. The higher the score, obviously, the better it is. So then, a more engaged, more happy client will give you a higher score. Somebody that gives you a in the middle kind of score, that there's some work that needs to be done there. So something like NPS is definitely a nice tool to use. But also there is definitely an emotional impact, right? When there's engagement and we connect, there's a meeting of minds, there's a meeting of hearts, there has to be an emotional impact. And if you think about this, the big thing that engagement does if it's true engagement, and sorry for overemphasizing true engagement, it builds trust and obviously satisfaction. I'm happy when I saw you and I'm happy when I leave. So those things are quite incredible. And all of that is necessary if I want to build long-term relationships, particularly those relationships that are key to my business and key to me as a person as well. So it is quite important that we check in regularly with clients. And, you know, I know some people with their top clients would get a summary or a check-in every 3 months. You know, maybe some of the other clients a little bit less, but there are additional check-ins apart from reviews during the year. And how do you do this, right? I mean, there are so many opportunities for us to do this. So you need to go and think like, what are the opportunities for me during the year to check in with certain clients and how I want to do that. So that's very, very useful when we do that. Then sort of the second thing I want to talk about is traditional engagement versus digital engagement. Now, when I talk about traditional engagement, what am I talking about? Well, I'm basically talking about seeing people in person, picking up the phone and calling them, writing letters by hand or notes or, you know, little cards or something that you do by hand. Those are the traditional ways of engaging with people. And I think, you know, a lot of people say, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm now going fully digital. Now that I have this amazing little device, why do I need to spend my time on the road and go see clients? So some people were all the way on that side and moving all the way over to the digital way. And then there are people who refuse to move from the traditional method because they feel that is where real relationships are formed. And that's how you build real relationships. And for me, you know, again, I've spoken about this so much that the answer for anything never, ever lies in the extremes. It's never on this end. It's never on that end. It's somewhere in between. And I won't say in the middle necessarily, but it is usually somewhere in between. And it's a mix of these two things. It's not or. It's not this or that. It's this and that is usually the answer. And we're so, I don't know, like conditioned to think about it's this or that. So I can't have this if I have that. And that's absolutely not true. If you can think about some aspects in your business, just think about where you can say this and that instead of I must do this or I must do that, and what change that can make. So when we're talking about digital engagement, you know, we're really talking things like WhatsApp. WhatsApp is a phenomenal way. It's a very personal way to communicate with someone. You can have a conversation with someone. In fact, I have a friend that communicates, you know, sentence by sentence on WhatsApp. And it's quite interesting to see people's personalities come through on this. But you can have a back and forth conversation on WhatsApp. So there's a digital way to do that. Emails are definitely another way. And obviously, you know, virtual meeting tools, being able to live stream like this, being able to have a live real-time virtual meeting where we can be in two different places, but we can have a meeting and we can see each other, which is so important. Client portals, it's another way of engaging with clients or providing clients with the opportunity to engage with us. And then obviously social media as well. But you can see as we move through this, it goes further and further away from control and it goes more into the universe of the cloud, I would say. But definitely digital methods are here to stay. They are very useful. They're very efficient. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but definitely something to consider. If I do think just a little bit about advantages and disadvantages of each one, if you think about the traditional methods, right, seeing people in person, making phone calls, handwritten notes, they're all very time consuming. But that is often the thing that makes it so valuable. So when you do it selectively with the right people at the right time, it adds a lot of value because nobody does that anymore. And it's always this thing like, you know, when you do things that nobody else are doing anymore, you know, to school when people wrote on your Facebook wall, happy birthday. These days, you know, we used to answer back every single person. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Today, like it's one post. Thank you for all the birthday wishes. So we don't want to do that anymore because everybody's doing it. So instead of getting 10 messages, you get like 100 or whatever. And we don't have the time to answer those. But that's what's happening. You know, it's absolutely one of the things that if you do something that nobody else is doing, in other words, incorporating some of these traditional methods into the way that you engage, you will stand out for the right reasons. If you pick up the phone and phone a client on their birthday, not just send them a WhatsApp or a voice note. And I would say every single client, but definitely your top clients, you want to give them a call, not use any other method because nobody else is picking up the phone. Everybody's writing on their Facebook wall and sending them a message on LinkedIn, sending them a WhatsApp. Don't do that. Be the person who does it the traditional way, because it means that you took extra effort that nobody else did. Anyway, just a suggestion. Some of the advantages, obviously, of the digital method is that it's efficient, it's quick. You know, it's some of those stuff is sort of repeatable, so it just makes it very efficient. Also, I can do it whenever. It doesn't have to be at a specific time. You can't phone a client at any time, but you can WhatsApp them basically at any time. So there are certain advantages from that. The disadvantages are that traditional methods are a little bit time consuming, as I said earlier, and digital methods can become overwhelming to people. It might be that people are not really tech savvy and they're not really interested to go the digital way. So one has to be very careful with that. But if there's one thing that we can't deny is how quickly everything and everybody is shifting towards the digital age, particularly after the last 3 years. And you know, the pandemic was just the trigger. It's no longer the reason. The reason why people are now really digital, that was the thing that kicked everybody's butts into gear. But now people are used to it and they see the benefits. And now they want more of it. So that's the thing. So that's long gone. It was only the thing that triggered it. But we are not going back in that sense, at least. Then the next sort of thing that I do want to talk about very briefly is personalization in engagement. This is an important aspect. We had an entire keynote on this, and it actually came out in quite a few of the panel discussions around personalization, because hyper-personalization is one of the top trends at the moment in financial planning. And it's a global trend. It's something to definitely take note of. And what are we talking about when we say, well, personalization? What the heck is personalization? Well, it basically means that I tailor my services to what that specific person wants or needs, to their context, to their circumstances. I communicate with them in the way that they prefer, not the way that I prefer. And those communications is in a way that will meet their individual needs. So that's very important. And the only way that we can really do that is through technology, because we need to keep track of so many data points. You know, maybe if you start thinking about how do we do this practically, then it's like, okay, I need to ask the certain questions when I onboard a client. But then it doesn't help that information sitting in a database somewhere, or it's sitting in a file somewhere. You know, I've got to put it into a system that if I start looking at this specific client, or maybe I want to do certain communications, I must be able to very briefly see who wants emails, who wants WhatsApps, who wants whatever it is that they want. But it's so important to ask clients. I will never forget Mariette Tappen sharing with me one of the biggest things that they did when she did the transitionist planning was about, you know, asking clients, how do they want to be communicated with? But then the question she asked me was like, but how do I manage it? You know, because it's important. Yes, I want to know this. I've got the information, but now what? And this is where technology plays a big role. This is where a real good CRM plays a very, very important role. So we've got to use our CRMs and data analytics tools. And I mean, there are other ways to sort of make this a little bit easier, I guess. We don't have to make it complicated, because if you're a small IFA or just a practice that you're building inside of an FSP, maybe you don't have access to some of these things and you don't have the money to spend on these. But we can keep track of certain information and things that clients share with us in things like Excel. Not ideal, but at least, or in at least, at the very least, I think in your CRM would definitely be better. But then we can start learning how to use that in order to segment our communications, and that we communicate in a way that makes sense to our clients. Now, what is very important if I want to personalize for people is data, right? I've got to collect the right data, and I've got to be able to analyze that data, because otherwise, if I can't do that, I can't create these personal experiences. Just think about, you know, Woolworths. Like I see these days, I walk near a Woolworths, then suddenly their app is pinging me something. And then I go like, okay, so they know I'm here. But also then when they give you vouchers, they give you vouchers for the things that you buy most. I don't know if you've ever seen that. And many of these places will do that because they are analyzing your buying behavior and what are you buying most and what are you most interested in. That's the things that they analyze. And then they give you enticing little vouchers to get you back for that, because they know I'm not just going to buy that thing. I'm also going to buy a few other things because I am there. So it's exactly the same thing from our point. So some of the things that might make it just very simple. If you just start thinking about what are the types of data points that I need from a client? It would be things like the things we already got. their goals. What are they trying to achieve? By when are they trying to achieve it? So what are the milestone dates? And maybe it's not just achieving goals. Maybe it's milestones in their own life. Maybe it's an anniversary. It's a birthday. It's when their child finishes school. It's when their child goes to high school. It might be, when the child finishes studying. It might be like many other things, right? Maybe it's when their parents have their golden anniversary. I don't know. But there's all of these things that we can, information we can get from clients and that we can have in a system so that we are notified timely to communicate with them then in a way, or to make contact with them in a way that they would really be surprised by and say, well, whoa, that's amazing. Also their preferences, people that still work at the office. Do you know what kind of coffee or tea, or what do they usually prefer to drink, or whatever is their favorite thing? I mean, imagine when they rock up and that's what you give to them and you offer that to them. It's that personalized experience. It's not so hard to do. Virtual is obviously a very different story, but definitely some of the things that we can think about. And as I said, you can implement tools to analyze this, and you can use things from Excel to an advanced CRM and advanced analytic tools. Just depends on your budget and your appetite for learning these things. But there are definitely some amazing tools available for you to assist with that. The next one is educational content as a form of engagement. This is probably the most powerful strategy. And the other day, Brian Nicol actually shared something along these lines as well from a prospecting point of view, that this is as powerful. But from an engagement point of view, just think about your existing clients. Just think about your existing clients. If you want to have better conversations with them, you want to have better engagement with them, you want them to be more involved and that their minds are at work when you're in a meeting, we've got to give them the tools and the knowledge to be able to do so. So doing this, and there's some powerful ways that we can do this, but I mean, some of the ways that we can educate and inform people, and even I think we should be entertaining people, is through things like our newsletters, right? Not long-winded newsletters, short little punchy newsletters that teaches something. You can do webinars. Webinars is a big thing. People really like those. And you can do them nice, not like the Americans do them, where they try and sell you the whole world at the end of that webinar. That's just a true education, no expectations. And you can automate these things as well, by the way. You don't have to do it live, but live obviously is great. You can write blogs, you can do videos. There's all sorts of things that you can do in order to educate your existing clients. And it will be inevitable that if you make this available, that people from all over will get access to this. But one of the ways to do this is just to sit down and plan and create a bit of a content calendar. What are you going to do when? And sort of then have something that holds you, or someone that holds you accountable for that. And then have a strategy just to get the content done and get it out there. But this is very, very valuable. And the reason why educational content is so great as a form of engagement is the fact that it empowers clients to make informed decisions. They can make better decisions. They can have better conversations with us. And this is why we want to do educational content. Just some tips maybe on how you can make it compelling, or how you can make it valuable. Something that people really value is something that is called just-in-time learning. So when I want to learn this thing, I can find something that teaches me about that one thing. So it's also combining just-in-time learning with micro-learning, just a little bit at a time. It's not about a whole course or putting somebody through a 3-month how to do a budget course or things like that. That's not what I'm talking about. Short, punchy little things that people can find on your website or that you share with your clients that teaches them about one little thing at a time. And if they over time get used to where to find this content, when they want to know, I want to know a little bit, how does this work? They can go and search your website, find it, and off they go. Also, if you make education a little bit entertaining and have a little bit of fun, it adds another dynamic to it, and it's just great for people to consume that. And the big thing is to use plain language, talk at their level, talk in a way that simplifies what it is we do. Don't try and sound like the most interesting person in the room. Just be the most curious person in the room and explain things in a way that would make sense to them. Then the next one is technology's role in engagement. Obviously, there's no way that I can't talk about the role of technology. And the key technologies here, and people I've been talking about this a lot lately, is CRMs, right? So we need CRM, proper CRM, or at the very least, whatever CRM you've got, You've got to use it properly. So I'm not going to get into that debate again. But analytic tools is very important because you need to be able to, when you export the data, to be able to analyze it. Some of these CRMs have got these analytic tools built in. So it depends. And then obviously we need virtual engagement platforms to be able to foster that engagement as well. So very important to do that. Just some enhancements sort of a way that technology enhances engagement and sort of ways that it actually hinders it. I think when we think about how technology can enhance our engagement, it's because it creates efficiency. Just look at the Calendly that I just discussed. It makes it so easy to just set up a meeting in a way that suits the client at a time that suits the client and that suits you. So it's that efficiency. But also then when we use technology, we get data-driven insights because there's data, there's facts, and we can put context to it. And we can make sure that, it makes sense and it tells a story. And obviously, when we use technology, we give broader access to more people to us because I'm not spending hours in the car driving between 2 meetings. I'm having 5 meetings in a day because I don't need to go anywhere. So there are that efficiency. But where technology hinders the engagement process is around that a lot of times, if we're not careful, it can become very impersonal. So if it's all about the tech and the digital and the virtual, then we must be very careful that we don't lose that human connection and making it personal to the person, and that it's not just an automated thing that's happening. Also, obviously, the more data we have, the more risk there is to protect that data, or the more we have to protect the data, but the bigger the risk that there might be a data breach. So that's something. And then obviously, if we use too much technology all the time in all areas of our life, we might get overwhelmed with that as well. So those are just some of the things to consider when we are talking about that. Then what does the future hold? So what are the future trends, and maybe a couple of predictions from my end? I won't put any money on it, but it is just sort of from where I'm standing, what are the things that I'm seeing? And I was in a very interesting meeting on Friday last week, and I then set up a further meeting with these people to find out more about this. But something that's really becoming a thing is AI agents, AI bots. We know about chat bots and things. We've had them for a long time. They've been horrible. But artificial intelligence chatbots is going to be a total different thing. AI virtual agents is a real thing. You must see this stuff. It is absolutely crazy. So what they will be able to do and what they will be able to help clients with is going to be mind-blowing. Blockchain technology obviously is still a thing that's big because of the way that we can keep records on there and the fact that it's transparent and all sorts of things. It does help to enhance trust and engagement. But so we need to keep an eye on that. The other big thing that is definitely coming through, and I think at the FBI convention, there will definitely be talk about this as well, is VR and AR, so virtual reality and augmented reality. We've seen a few things. I know Kobus has done a few things in that space. There's amazing people who are doing a lot of work around that space. We've got to be doing a nice discussion around this at the FBI convention as well. But definitely those 3 things. So if we look at AI chatbots and AI virtual agents, and then we've got blockchain technology, we've got virtual reality and augmented reality. Those are the emerging trends. Those are the things that's definitely becoming a major thing now. They're not just in movies anymore. Some predictions. I think the one thing is already happening, hyper-personalization, with the way that data analytics have evolved and the access to information and how things can come together, the way we can analyze them. Definitely we'll be able to hyper-personalize our engagements. And then the other thing, probably, it's a thing that's been around for a long time. I speak to Siri every day. Sometimes she irritates me because she doesn't listen, or I need to give her one prompt at a time. But I heard that from iOS 17, I can now give her multiple instructions in one conversation. So that's going to be cool. But voice-activated assistance in client service, that's probably going to be a thing. So as you look at Amazon's Alexa, you look at Google Assistant, you look at Siri, all of these technologies, and you combine that with things like ChatGPT, for example, it becomes very, very powerful. So that's what I think, hyper-personalization and voice-assisted or voice-activated assistants, virtual assistants. And then probably some of the challenges and ethical considerations. I think on the one hand is data privacy. It's obviously going to be most important. People are targeting small businesses all the time, so we've got to be very careful around that. So choosing the right technology that are secure is very important, and using things like 2-factor authentication is very important. And then the technology gap is the other one that we probably need to think about, because not everybody is moving and staying up to date with tech at the same rate as everybody else, both from an advisor point of view and a client point of view. So those are some of the things that I think we can look forward to. But client engagement, that's how you foster great long-term client loyalty. All right, so then it is time to do the giveaway, and I'm excited to do the draw for this. And let me do it this way so that I'm in a corner somewhere. So we've got 28 entries, absolutely amazing and fantastic. Let me get the applause ready to let's see who is going to win today. So hashtag book was the hashtag, and let's see who it will be today. Let's see to win this amazing book from Hendrik. And let's see who today's winner is. And it is Nantes Veldman. Nantes, fantasties. 'n bietjie lekker goeie dinge wat daar gebeur vandag. Well done, Nantes. I will be in touch right after the show. Please watch the video I'm sending you, and do send me the details that I'm asking for. Right, absolutely amazing. Well done, Nantes. Thank you, everybody else. Next week, we have our final Dream Chasers episode for this year. And looking forward to chatting to them. And then we'll be back next week, same time, same place. Have a great weekend. Stay blessed, prosper, stay safe, all that good stuff. And remember to raise the bar. Love you. Bye-bye.